Have you ever seen a high-ranking government official completely melt down just because they were asked to do their job? Today, we are breaking down an absolute powder keg of a congressional hearing between Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro and DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin. It is a masterclass in a lawmaker bringing the receipts, demanding accountability, and watching a powerful official completely lose his cool on camera. You do not want to miss this. But before we dive into the chaos, do me a huge favor. Smash that like button, hit subscribe, and jump into the comments right now to let me know where in the world you are watching from. All right, let's roll the tape.
I also want to remind people that let's not forget what was a Trump administration policy initiated by Stephen Miller, which was to let us separate children from their families at the border, because this would be a way to curtail or to stop immigration. Separating children from their families, how to hurt them the most. I asked and had a phone conversation with Secretary Azar at the time. I know I was in my living room with my 2-year-old grandson on my lap trying to have this conversation. And I asked him if there was a way in which he had a list of how you could reunite children with their families. And he assured me that we did. You know, when you take your clothes to the cleaners, they give you a tag, and you then go back and you retrieve your clothes. When you get luggage, you go and get your luggage is returned. Well,
I wish the Biden administration would have done that.
Let me just say this to you, sir. Again, it is my time. 3,900 children were separated from their families.
450,000 kids were lost under the Biden administration. You didn't say a word about
Mr. Secretary, do not interrupt.
Don't you point your finger at me. Don't
I
be
will
a hypocrite.
point my finger
Don't you be
at
a hypocrite
you.
then. Then you be a threat. You should be as upset about the 450,000 kids that were lost. You didn't say a word about it. For 4 years, you never said a word.
Mr. Secretary.
Could you put him in his place for
Don't yell at me.
You should
I'm
be
the
put in
good
your
guy.
place.
Mr. Secretary, if you would like 4 minutes for a closing statement when everybody's done, I'll give you that. But while members are on their 8 minutes, I need them to have their 8 minutes.
I started my
I
comments.
appreciate that. My issue is that they say this for sound bites, and I'm not going to let them say
What
something
did
like
you
that
do
that's not
just
true.
recently for sound bites? I sympathize with the 400.
We are going to have something resembling order here. The time is the ranking members. If you would like to respond later on, there are methods to do that, but it's not a who can talk louder into the mic.
It's not.
So you are recognized.
Thank you very much.
I will not let her
Mr.
sit there and lie and accuse something this ridiculous.
You know-
This is the legislative branch, and it's my hearing, and so I'm going to try to some extent to control moderately.
And do
Thank you.
not accuse me of lying. Do not.
Then don't.
I do not. I appreciate, and I said to you at the outset, there's concern for children across the board. We care deeply about what's happening to children. And I went to the border and I watched children in those fenced-in places years ago and what was happening to them. So I have a long history, Mr. Secretary, in this area. 3,900 kids were separated. Secretary Azar told me he had a way to reunite them. Many of them were not reunited till today. And I don't want you to answer this now. Please get back to us and tell us what you are doing with regard to the settlement in terms of this issue, which is out there, which your department needs to come close to. I'll make a statement to you again. But this is fact from the bill, Mr. Chairman. The bill that the Republicans have proposed for funding the Department of Homeland Security cuts cybersecurity budget by more than $250 million. It cuts the TSA by nearly $350 million. And the Trump administration is openly advocating for privatizing TSA while trying to eliminate their collective bargaining rights. We all know what happened earlier this year. TSA workers endured the longest government shutdown in history. There was a lot of discussion and talk invoked about the long lines and the use of leverage to force through a Homeland Security bill without any reforms to what were critical ICE and CBP reforms that were necessary, that the American people wanted and were clamoring for. They didn't want to continue to see masked marauders on their streets with just harassing people. Congress eventually passed my legislation that paid TSA workers, funded FEMA, CISA, Secret Service, and the Coast Guard. And today, and it took you 79 days on the Republican side to make that decision to pay these people instead of just talking about paying this. The administration continues to attempt to walk away from the collective bargaining agreement with TSA workers, something that the federal courts have now twice said is illegal. Indeed, your testimony frames the attempt to force over 200 smaller airports in this country into a new security structure as a setting. And quote, the TSA, this is in the testimony, the TSA is on the path to privatization. My question on this issue is, given all that the transportation security officers did for us during a Republican shutdown, how can it be that the department's position is that TSA workers should not be granted the same basic labor protections as federal enforcement officers? How can it be that your priority is to have them work for the lowest bidder, where the wages and the benefits of these workers will unquestionably be lower?
Well, actually, it was the Democrats that voted every time to shut them down. Republicans voted every time to open them up.
Pass.
So
Just give me
we
an
didn't
answer
shut them
to my
down. You
question.
shut them down.
Answer my question.
I did.
What are you doing? Why are you moving?
Ma'am, I answered your question. You were the one that shut them down. The Democrats shut down. How many times did you vote to shut them down?
Why? You know, these people come to us to get funding for the work that they do, and we ought
I'm
to
actually
take a look at
factually
the work
correct.
that they
I'm
don't do.
factually correct.
The work
You
that they
voted
don't
to
do.
shut them down. Republicans voted to open them over and over and
Well,
over
what
again.
the
Your vote
Republicans
clearly
finally
stated that
did-
you voted to shut us
what they
down.
finally
It
did-
wasn't until it became
Madam
popular.
Ranking
And then, by
Member,
the way, ICE agents came there and helped bring the
Mr.
lines down. The
Secretary.
same people that you also kept shut down for
Mr.
115
Secretary.
days. I'm answering the question.
No, you
I thought
didn't,
you said
Mr.
you answered it.
Secretary.
The floor is hers.
My dear,
Actually, I gave it to her. You know, there is a chairman of a committee. That's me. I gave it back to her.
this tells
She's
you
got it.
something about who these folks are. And
You have
everybody
another
on
question,
this
Madam
panel.
Ranking
Well,
Member.
yeah, no, I do, but I didn't get an answer to question.
So the
How
record
can
will
it
so
be-
reflect.
Thank you.
Please ask your next
Okay,
question.
and I will. This has to do with FEMA. Simple question. And I want to start where I left off with Secretary Noem last year. FEMA. Simple yes or no. Do you support eliminating FEMA? Do you support eliminating FEMA?
There's portions of FEMA that
Do
need
you
to be back at
support
state.
eliminating
There's no yes or
FEMA?
no question on that. There's
Do you
portions that need to go back
support
to the state.
eliminating FEMA?
The record will reflect the
That
response.
is
The record
supports-
will reflect the
that
response.
he
Is there another
supports
question?
it. Yeah, because let me just say, in April of 2025, the Trump administration prematurely, I'm glad we got that answer, because the poor gentleman who came before, it may have been with you, Mr. Chairman, that came before our committee, and I asked him this question, and he said, because Secretary Noem said, yes, she and the president wanted to eliminate FEMA. The gentleman said that he said it should be reformed, and the next day he was fired. Let it show that the secretary believes that we should shut FEMA down.
I never
April
said that.
2025, the
Mr.
administration.
Chairman, I never said that.
The administration prematurely,
The record will
unlawfully
reflect what you did and didn't
ended
say accurately.
FEMA's BRIC program. He intentionally halted roughly 2,000 active infrastructure and disaster mitigation projects across the country, including one in downtown New Haven, Connecticut. A coalition of 22 states and D.C. sued FEMA. A federal judge ruled in favor of the states in December, mandated that FEMA restore the over $3.6 billion in canceled funding. At the beginning of March, the judge had to order FEMA to comply with that ruling. 3 months ago, the day after you took over as secretary, FEMA formally announced a, quote, new and improved BRIC program. Yet, almost all of these communities are still waiting for their BRIC funding to be restored. Tell me, Mr. Secretary, when can communities with halted projects expect to receive their BRIC funding?
We actually restarted that when I first came in, and we did 24 or 25 of them. So
You've done 24 of the 25
Yes,
of the
ma'am.
2,000.
I mean, let me clarify that. So
Please.
2024 and 2025, they sent out the notice of notification so everybody can now submit. And those projects that were already submitted for those times period will be
How many projects are there?
We can get you the details.
Please, there were 2,000 that we started with.
The Secretary also provided direction for 2026 to get the NOFOs out on that, and that'll come out sometime in September. The Secretary has done more to get that.
I do not need your, you do not need to.
I just want to make sure you're clear.
Well, please.
Okay.
Spare us, just give me the facts. Just give me the numbers. Let me just conclude, Mr. Chairman, and thank you. I'd like to work in an open and in a transparent way, because that BRIC funding for New Haven, Connecticut, which I probably will not get because I'm in a blue state, that the BRIC funding for New Haven, Connecticut is important, which is why we support the programs, bipartisan support for the BRIC program. So please, let's get the NOFOs out as quickly as possible and get the money to the communities that need them. My final comment to you is, I'd just like to go back a second. We need to go back to the issue of deaths in custody. It doesn't do anyone good to deflect, talk about what's happening in the criminal system in Illinois or in Oklahoma. What we need, because 54 deaths are 54 in what is civil detention, we need a plan to address the fact that 54 people in your department they were in civil detention. It's not criminal detention.
This video captures an incredibly tense clash between Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro and DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin during a House Appropriations Committee hearing. DeLauro systematically dismantles the department's track record, ranging from the historical trauma of the family separation policy to massive proposed budget cuts in cybersecurity and TSA, the unlawful halting of FEMA disaster mitigation funds, and the tragic reality of 54 deaths in civil detention. Instead of answering these heavy policy questions, Secretary Mullin repeatedly breaks decorum, aggressively interrupting her and deflecting accountability with partisan talking points. Look, we've all seen congressional hearings turn into a circus, but this exchange between Congresswoman Rosa DeLauro and DHS Secretary Markwayne Mullin is on a completely different level. If you want a masterclass in a lawmaker standing her ground against a defensive, incredibly rude federal official, this is it. DeLauro didn't just bring the heat. She brought receipts, and the secretary completely lost his cool. Right out of the gate, DeLauro brings up the horrific legacy of the family separation policy that tore 3,900 children from their parents. She drops an absolute truth bomb of an analogy. When you drop off your dry cleaning or check your luggage at the airport, you get a tag to ensure you get it back. Yet, the government couldn't manage that basic level of accountability for human children. And how does Secretary Mullin respond? By immediately violating committee rules to bark out a deflection about the Biden administration. It is loud, it is defensive, and it is flat-out rude. DeLauro has to repeatedly remind him, "Sir, it is my time." But he just keeps talking over her. When DeLauro demands that he stop interrupting her, as is her right during her 8 minutes of questioning, Mullin completely melts down. He snaps at her, telling her not to point her finger at him and calling her a hypocrite. "Excuse me. You are a cabinet secretary testifying before the committee that holds your purse strings. The sheer entitlement it takes to yell at a lawmaker holding you accountable is wild." Thankfully, the chairman had to step in like a weary school principal to remind the secretary that he doesn't get to dictate the clock, and that a congressional hearing is not a contest of who can talk louder into the MIC. Once the dust settles, DeLauro gets back to the actual math, and it's grim. She calls out the fact that the current funding proposals slash over $250 million from cybersecurity and nearly $350 million from the TSA, all while pushing to privatize airport security and strip workers of their collective bargaining rights. When Mullin tries to pivot and blame Democrats for past government shutdowns, DeLauro shuts it down instantly. She's demanding a direct answer on why the department is trying to force workers to accept lower wages and fewer benefits, and Mullin has absolutely nothing but defensive stuttering. Then she moves to FEMA, asking a dead simple question: do you support eliminating FEMA? Mullin tries to play semantics, but DeLauro unloads the facts. She exposes how the administration prematurely and unlawfully axed FEMA's BRIC program, freeze-framing 2,000 active disaster mitigation projects across the country. They got hit so hard by a federal judge that they were legally mandated to restore $3.6 billion in cancelled funding. Mullin tries to brag that they restarted 24 or 25 of them. Out of 2,000? DeLauro's reaction is pure gold. Please, spare us. Just give me the facts. She saves the heaviest blow for last, bringing up the 54 deaths of individuals held in civil detention. She emphasizes a crucial distinction that the department loves to ignore. This is civil detention, not criminal detention. These are human beings under administrative care, and 54 of them died on the department's watch. DeLauro demands a real, actionable plan to address this crisis, refusing to let Mullin deflect to the local criminal justice systems of Illinois or Oklahoma. What an absolute showdown. Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Congresswoman DeLauro was too tough, or was she doing exactly what we elected our representatives to do? If you enjoyed this breakdown, make sure to drop a like, hit that subscribe button, and share this video with someone who needs to see it. Thanks for hanging out with me today, and I'll catch you in the next one.